Peace, family. Peace, family. What's good? Let me say peace to the chat. Peace. Welcome. And I'm just adding the link right there in the chat. It's also in the description of the video, but peace and welcome. It's Monday, May 1st, and we're back again for another topic in the 52 topic sequence of our mentorship and advocacy program. I might go a little off script today, but I don't want to go too far off script. But I had some really bad news. Worst the worst news I've pretty much ever gotten. I lost an immediate relative, and I found out in the last week. Don't want to speak on it so much here during this video. Not really ready to speak on it. But it's just weighing heavily on my mind right now. And, that's what's going on with me. So willfully, again, this is Monday, our mentorship and advocacy program. And we do have a 2023 almanac as our guide. And for the entire year, I have delivered it successfully to all but one of my clients. So willfully, you all have this as you're tuning in. And if you're the one client that does not, I'll be giving you a call and we will arrange to get that over to you. And let me just open up to where we're at here. Today's May 1st. So every season there is a writing prompt, basically every 3 months. So January, April. So there's no seasonal prompt, but there is a writing prompt for May, and there is the May calendar. So you can start there with your pencils, your adult coloring, your plans for May. So first week of May, we're getting right into that, our planning. And then you've also got your weekly planner, as well as your page for note taking. Last Monday, we were in sequence 17, and the topic was isolation. So I spoke, and if you don't have that video, I sent the link to everybody, so I'll make sure you've got the video link. But you can take your notes right. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to encourage you to take your notes right here. There's also, if you want to take notes on the page with the letter, that's fine too. If you need more space, you can start there for the first topic. It's optional. So here we are. I encourage you to take your notes. If you have any questions, thoughts, anything that comes up, or just take notes on this topic. And again, thank you for your patience. It's going to take me a little while to really get my set all set up and a more professional recording for the 52 topic sequence. Wednesdays, we also have our Women's Empowerment Network that's also being built. There's a journal. I'll see if I can hop on this Wednesday and show you what that's going to look like. And that's just another option. I want you to have a good workbook to dedicate your work in this program. So, but let's get right into inclusion. Let's get right into that. And let's just start by, defining inclusion. And again, that goes with the 52 topic sequence that we have for this 2023 almanac. We have a different topic in prevention education every week. And I designed this sequence, I put it together. So it's still this tool and resource is brand new. It's being developed right now. So my clients are a big part of this. The work that we're doing together, your feedback and all that. So here we go. So last week we spoke about isolation. We defined it and we discussed, how isolation is a tactic of psychological abuse. It is a tactic in human trafficking. And then it's also, it's both a tactic that's used, but then it's also like a survival skill that's learned. So after a survivor has been isolated, they also often continue to isolate themselves themselves out of survival, even when it's no longer beneficial to them. So that's a challenge and something we got to work on and work through if you're isolating. And it's understandable. Sometimes it does serve you when that's what you need, when you need to sever certain ties, get away from negative environments and people that have harmed you, all of that. But we want to rebuild your confidence and get you to a place where you're able to overcome that isolation and get back into activities that you're passionate about, the things that you want to do, how you want to grow, and the things you want to do in your life. So it's a process. I'm still working on it. You know, um, people of all ages, survivors of various forms of violence of all ages. It's a learning curve, and just maybe for humanity in general, it's a learning curve, getting back, overcoming any obstacles in life. And the second topic with the letter I is inclusion. So that's kind of the flip side of isolation is inclusion. So let's just start. Let me go over some notes and speak a little bit about it and continue. So, inclusion is the action or state of including or of being included within a group or structure. Let me say that one more time. Inclusion is the action or state of including or of being included within a group or structure. It is also defined as the practice or policy of providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. For example, could be those with disabilities, making special accommodations, or it could also be members of so-called minority groups, those who are of not the mainstream group. They may overlook certain things as well. If it's, yeah, for example, ways to be more inclusive could be adding a ramp, if a ramp is needed, or things of that nature, ways of thinking of what other people might need that oneself might not need, thinking of ways to include people that may have, may not have the same viewpoints or the same physical capabilities or what have you. So there's also inclusion in different environments. So let's say in education, inclusion, that's considered, again, primarily for students with any type of disability, whether it's physical or intellectual, learning disability. So in education, there are three main forms of education in terms of inclusion. There's full inclusion, and that's when the student is right there in the classroom, they're alongside their peers, and they're working together right there in the classroom. There's also partial inclusion, and that maybe the student is in the class, but where they need a little more support, maybe they have a student aid, or maybe they come out of the class to get additional support. And then there's mainstreaming, where they may be in a completely separate class, so they're able to really tackle whatever those barriers may be and focus on getting that student up to speed. And then, depending on how they do them, perhaps be integrated back into the classroom. So that's an education. In work, inclusion is considered the recognition and appreciation and use of the talents and skills of employees of all backgrounds. And this one's interesting because oftentimes in a workplace, we may not know. We may not know the talents and skills that different individuals come with. So that in and of itself can be a barrier. The golden rule in terms of inclusion is to support others as you would wish to be supported. So just like we want to treat others how we want to be treated, the same goes for inclusion. Support others how we would want to be supported. The four elements of inclusion, like ways that you can kind of measure inclusion, are, and this is great, for mentorship as well. So the four elements we can consider here, even in our mentorship and advocacy program, are whether the individual is present, whether they are participating, whether they're achieving, and fourth, whether they are supported. So those are all aspects of inclusion: being present, participating, achieving, and being supported. So perhaps if the achievement is low, they might need more support, you know, and yeah. So it all goes together. But of course, to have inclusion, there needs to be support, right? Um, in the workplace, there are different ways, whether in the workplace, at school, it doesn't really have to be in the workplace. It could be in any group, any activity you have, extracurricular. Some ways that you can show and demonstrate inclusion are, first and foremost, to be yourself, be authentic. If you're other than yourself, then how are you really going to advocate for your own inclusion? So you got to be yourself. You got to advocate, for bringing your whole self, your whole healthy self to the table. Also, another way is by speaking up about inclusion. So not only inclusion of yourself, but you could speak up about inclusion in that atmosphere, whether it's the workplace, school, just knowing that other people everyone's not all the same. Everyone's needs are not all the same, what they bring to the table. And again, we might not know the talents and skills that other people have. So unless we ask and advocate for inclusion, we may be missing out on some really great opportunities, both for teamwork and for that individual growth. So also think about how you communicate. Sometimes how we communicate can alienate people. It can, someone might feel like they're not being included depending on how the communication comes across. So just that's something to always consider: how we're communicating. Are we communicating in a way that is welcoming and including different perspectives? Um, so that's very important. Also, respond from your own personal experience. That goes hand in hand with authenticity. If you're not responding from your personal experience, it's not going to stick. It's not going to feel as genuine. So always, go from your personal express your personal experience. Um, that's that's a good way to show, you're coming with yourself. And another way, just respect other people, being respectful of other people, being respectful of how they want to be called. Do they want to be called by their first name? Do they want to be called by their middle name or the artist name or a nickname? Just being respectful. Or if they choose other pronouns or what have you, just being respectful of the individual. That's another way to show inclusion, and to not alienate another person. Challenge stereotypes. Sometimes people can fall into stereotyping individuals, and that just maybe just their point of reference. And you always got to challenge that unconscious bias within yourself, and also advocate for that in the workplace. Make sure that we're not just, going by stereotypes and making assumptions about people, and we really don't know, what their preferences are. And then, last but certainly not least, supporting differences. So, if you got a good strong team, chances are people are going to have differences. So we want to support that, because those differences are also what makes us stronger as a team. And that's how we're going to be inclusive, because everybody's going to come with something different. So again, ways like, for example, in the workplace, we want to be aware of any, be self-reflective of any unconscious bias. Also, advocate maybe for, maybe you want training, and to just check in with each other about, managing any bias that there may be. That would be more like a supervisor's role, or there may be, there's training materials for that as well. Just being aware of unconscious bias. Also pay equity, that's a big thing, of course. We don't want to, there's there are statistics out there that, for example, men may get paid more than women for the same role, or certain things like that. Just being aware of those things and advocating for pay equity, That's important for inclusion. Training, providing training opportunities. That is another great way to advocate for inclusion. Um, and then also being respectful of other cultures and ways of life. For example, like in the workplace, like respecting if somebody else has a different holiday or something like that. You know, having ways to work around that is excellent for inclusion. So, if you have questions or thoughts, certainly you're welcome to drop them in the chat or to ask me directly. Um, I'm going to strive to make this video a little bit shorter just to get your response on this one today, just to get you in the workbook and get y'all response. But inclusion also is very important in healing in the scope of prevention, education, and human trafficking. Also, addiction recovery, mental health. It's very important to provide, um, equal care. I think I took some other notes over here. Let me see. Yeah, I did. Pardon. Yeah, so in terms of healthcare, everyone, that's another way of advocating for inclusion in society would be for everyone to have equal access to equal quality of healthcare, regardless of gender, ethnicity, nationality, religion, age, etc. With compassion, providing, for example, in like addiction recovery, whether there's medication assisted treatment, group and individual therapy, medical supervision. As I mentioned, compassion is very important. And the quality should be the same. That's the key right there. The quality should be the same. Every person should be seen as a human being, and no more, no less, because we all share in the human experience, and it should not matter what class, how much money someone has. Everyone should have equal access to quality healthcare. Yeah, and inclusion can also be difficult in the scope of prevention, education, and human trafficking. Often, a survivor of trafficking, or, well, let's start with that. A survivor of trafficking, often they may not identify as a survivor. They may have fear, they may have shame, and lack awareness as to what human trafficking is, and what resources are available. So that is something to consider, and may be difficult for them to access, the treatment and the resources for that reason. So we always want to consider those things, and that's why training is important. In others, it's important for us to train like first responders, like medical workers, teachers, educators, youth workers, social workers. It's important for people on the front lines of these sort of issues to be aware of those barriers and those challenges, and so that we can work to overcome those barriers so we can be more inclusive and offer resources and quality of care to all people. Like I said, regardless to gender, ethnicity, nationality, religion, or what have you. So, culture or anything else. So we are stronger together. When it comes to healing, that was a topic, 2 sequences ago, we spoke about healing. So inclusion, getting back into activities that you're included in a group where you're beginning to feel safe, amongst other people. You're in a safe environment, you're included in group activities, you're doing the things that you love. Once again, that's very important. Inclusion and community is essential to the healing process. So again, it's essential in mentorship. I want all my clients to feel that they're being included, that they are coming as they are, and that I'm honoring them as in each and every one of you as individuals. So that really sums up inclusion in a nutshell. Again, I don't want to go too long. I think 20 minutes is enough for today. I would love your feedback. I'm going to be checking your notes, so please take notes. Or if you want to do your own research, if you have any questions, thoughts, challenges about challenges you may be having in the area of inclusion and getting back into activities and things that you love and communing with other groups, please let me know. That is our topic for this week. And with that, I leave you in the words of in the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum, peace, shalom. And we'll be back Wednesday. We're going to strive to give another update on the Women's Empowerment Network. We're still working on the technology to get some other powerful women on. And I'm going to see if I can get another advocate in the field on and take a look at this mentorship and advocacy program almanac as well. So willfully, that'll be soon. And that is all I have for you today. Again, I want to update you more on some of the personal things I'm going through, but this is just not the time. So thank you. Send your prayers to my family, if you would, and I highly appreciate it. And you are all in my prayers. And that is all for now. Again, one more plug. If you do want to follow along with us in the Mentorship and Advocacy Program Almanac, you can find that. The link is underneath the video. It's at earthsaylove.com/mentorship. And although we're already into May, and you can go back, you'll be able to go back and fill in those prior activities and anything significant in those months and those writing prompts. And we're going to keep on going. We've still got, eight whole months left of 2023. So join us, follow along. And with that, again, I'll leave you with the universal greetings of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Your sister Earth, say love, and I'm out. Peace.